Good morning. I'm going to read some more from Diary of a Wimpy Kid by Kinney. This one starts with Monday. I brought my posters into school today, and I have to say they came out pretty good. So I want you to look at the posters here, and then I'm going to read them to you. It says, "Do you want Marty Porter to be your treasurer? Hey, you're dropping all the money, you fool. Darn." So I want you to look at this. So he's saying that this guy who's running against him is going to lose all their money. And then down here it says, "Remember in second grade how Marty Porter had head lice? Itch, itch, itch. Do you want him touching your money?" That's not very fair, huh? Second grade, that was a long time ago. I started hanging up my posters as soon as I got in, but they were only up for 3 minutes before Vice Principal Roy spotted them. Here's Vice Principal Roy, and he's looking at, what is he doing with those pictures? Mr. Roy said, "You aren't allowed to write fabrications about another candidate." What's a fabrication? Fabrication is something that's not true. And so I told Mr. Roy that the thing about the head lice was true and how it practically closed down the whole school when it happened. Then he took all my posters away. So today, Marty Porter was going around handing out lollipops to buy himself votes while my posters were sitting in the bottom of Mr. Roy's trash can. I guess this means my political career is officially over. Now we're going to jump to October. This is a Monday in October. Monday. Well, it's finally October, and there are only 30 days left until Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday. Mine too. Even though Mom says I'm getting too old to go out trick-or-treating anymore, Halloween is Dad's favorite holiday too, but for a different reason. On Halloween night, while all the other parents are handing out candy, Dad is hiding in the bushes with a trash can full of water. And if any teenager passes by our driveway, he drenches them. That's not good. I'm not sure Dad really understands the concept of Halloween, but I'm not going to be the one who spoils the fun. Look at there. He says, "Trick or treat, ha ha." That's not very nice, huh? Today was opening night of the Crossland High School haunted house, and I got Mom to agree to take me and Rowley. Rowley showed up at my house wearing his Halloween costume from last year. When I called him earlier, I told him just to wear regular clothes, but of course he didn't listen. Look at there. See his friends wearing an old costume. I tried not to let it bother me too much. I've never been allowed to go to the Crossland haunted house before, and I wasn't going to let Rowley ruin it for me. I wasn't going to let Roderick had told me all about it, and I had been looking forward to this for 3 years. Anyway, when we got to the entrance, I started having second thoughts about going in. Look at here. This is a little scary. So the head on the table says, "Good evening." But Mom seemed like she was in a hurry to get this over with, and she moved us along. Once we were through the gate, it was one scare after another. There were vampires jumping out at you and people without heads and all sorts of crazy stuff. But the worst part was this area called Chainsaw Alley, and there was a really big guy with a hockey mask, and he had a real chainsaw. Roderick told me the chainsaw had a rubber blade, but I wasn't taking any chances. Look at that. He's running away from him. Right then, it looked like the chainsaw guy was going to catch us. Mom stepped in and bailed us out. Sorry. That is not nice. I'm sorry, ma'am. So the boys were a little scared. Mom made the chainsaw guy show us where the exit was, and that was the end of our haunted house experience right there. I guess it was a little embarrassing when Mom did that, but I'm willing to let it go this one time. Saturday. The Crossland Haunted House really got me thinking. Those guys are charging $5 a pop and the line stretched halfway around the school. I decided to make a haunted house of my own. Actually, I had to bring Rowley in on the deal because Mom wouldn't let me convert our first floor into a full-out haunted mansion. I knew Rowley's dad wouldn't be crazy about the idea either, so we decided to build the haunted house in his basement and just not mention it to his parents. Me and Rowley spent most of the day coming up with some awesome plans for the haunted house. This was our final plan. Here, so it says Hall of Screams, Lake of Blood, Bottomless Pit, Knife Alley, Maze of 1,000 Skulls, Rat Tunnel, Death Slide, Acid Lake, Handrail, and Exit. Think that's a good idea that they came up with? I don't know, let's see. I didn't mean to brag or anything, but what we came up with was way better than the Crossland High School haunted house. We realized we were going to need to get the word out that we were doing this thing, so we got some paper and made a bunch of flyers. I'll admit we stretched the truth a little in our adventure, but we had to make sure people actually showed up. Look at that. It says haunted house with live sharks. It says admission is 50 cents at 3 p.m. By the time we finished putting the flyers up around the neighborhood, we got back to Rowley's basement. It was already 2:30, and we hadn't even started putting up actual haunted house together yet. So we had to cut some corners for our actual plan. When 3 o'clock rolled around, we looked outside to see if anyone had showed up. And sure enough, there were about 20 neighborhood kids waiting in a line outside Rowley's apartment. Our basement. Now, I know our flyers said admission was 50 cents, but I could see that we had a chance to make a killing here. So I told the kids that admission was $2 and 50 cents was just a typo. The first kid coughed up his $2. The first kid to cough up his $2 was Shane Snelly. He paid the money and we let him inside, and me and Rowley took our positions in the Hall of Screams. Look at that. So they're charging these kids a lot of money to come in there. The Hall of Screams was basically a bed with me and Rowley on either side of it. Look at that. So here's him, here's Rowley, and the kids are going underneath and they're screaming. I guess maybe we made the Hall of Screams a little bit too scary because halfway through, Shane curled up in a ball underneath the bed. We tried to get him to crawl out from under there, but he wouldn't budge. I started thinking about all the money we were losing with the kids clogging up in the Hall of Screams, and I knew we had to get him out of there quick. Eventually, Rowley's dad came downstairs. At first, I was happy to see him because I thought he could help us drag Shane out from under the bed and get our haunted house cracking again. But Rowley's dad wasn't really in a helpful mood. So look at his dad. He is not looking very nice. He's looking at Greg, and here's Rowley. He's hitting this kid under the bed with a broom. Rowley's dad wanted to know what we were doing and why Shane was curled up under the bed. We told him that the basement was a haunted house and that Shane actually paid for us to do this to him. But Rowley's dad didn't believe us. I admit that if you look around, it didn't really look like a haunted house. All we had time to put together was the Hall of Screams and the Lake of Blood, which was just Rowley's old baby pool half full of ketchup. I tried to show Rowley's dad our original plan to prove that we were really running a legit operation, but he still was not convinced. And to make a long story short, it was the end of our haunted house. The good news is since Rowley's dad didn't believe us, he didn't make us refund Shane's money, so at least we cleared $2 today. Let's stop for there today.